In today's video, I'm going to show you how to finish off a hand-tied bouquet with tape and ribbon. My name is Ellen Frost. I'm the owner of Local Color Flowers. I've been a florist for over 15 years, and I write a weekly newsletter all about flowers. I'm also building a community of flower nerds online. In today's video, I'm going to show you, once you have learned how to design a hand-tied bouquet, you have to finish it off. So there's nothing holding this bouquet together right now except for my hand. So I'm going to show you how to finish the bouquet. First thing is not actually a finishing technique, but more an in-between technique. In case you have a tired arm or you have to run to eat lunch and you want to set your bouquet down, you might want to just use a rubber band to hold your bouquet together and then stick it in a bouquet vase, go do what you have to do, and then come back to it. So I'm going to show you, I've got just a regular rubber band, and I'm going to find a sturdy stem within my bouquet, and I'm going to just put my rubber band over one stem, and then I'm just going to loop it around and then put it back over that stem. So what that does is allow me to put it back in the vase, or lay it down, or hand it off to somebody while I go do something else. Sometimes bouquets like this take a long time to make, so you may need a break. So a rubber band, then when you're ready to come back to it, you can just unrubber band it and start again. Now when you're ready to really finish your bouquet, I like to finish my bouquets using floral tape. This is, if you haven't used it before, floral tape is a little bit weird because it feels sort of like paper or even like fabric. And when you pull it, that's when the resin inside there gets sticky. And this tape actually just adheres to itself. So as you pull it, it gets stickier and it's going to stick to itself. There are two different widths. This is a smaller, maybe a ½ inch, and this is a full inch. I use both for wrapping bouquets. Some find smaller easier, sometimes people find the thicker easier. I for sure use this thinner one when I'm finishing boutonnieres, but you can use it for a bouquet. Today I'm going to use the 1 inch, and this is white, but it comes in white or green. Either is great. So I want to just stretch a length of this out. You can leave it on the roll, or you can rip it off. Whatever feels more comfortable to you. I like to rip it off so that way I don't have the whole roll that I'm holding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my pinch point, which is where my fingers are holding onto the stems of the flowers. And I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to put the tape underneath my thumb so it's just secured on there. Then I'm going to try to wrap it around one time to get it started. Taping is a little tricky because you want to keep the shape of your bouquet while also taping. So I'm wrapping around again. Once you've got maybe 2 times around, then you can start to spin your entire bouquet, taping as you go. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling on this tape so that that resin really starts to stick. So I'm turning, pulling. And I like to do maybe about 1 inch of tape. You could do more, you could do less. I like to do about 1 inch, and you can see now my bouquets are nice and secure. Now that your bouquet is taped, you can go ahead and finish it off with ribbon or some other material that you want to use to cover up the tape. Ribbon is probably the most common way that people wrap and finish a hand-tied bouquet. This is just some double-faced satin ribbon that I'm using. It's a 1 inch ribbon. And I'm going to basically do the same thing I did with my tape. I'm going to start by holding it with my thumb. This time I'm going to leave it on the roll because I'm never sure how much ribbon I'm going to use. So I'm going to leave it on the roll, and I'm going to start at the bottom of that tape. So I'm going to tape from the bottom up. So I've got my hand on here, and then I'm going to start turning my bouquet. I want to make sure that all of my tape is covered and that there's no edges sticking out. So I'm just going to be turning, and I'm pulling on this ribbon because I don't want there to be any bumps or lumps. I want, especially for satin ribbon, I want to make sure that that is nice and taut. So I'm just turning my bouquet. using my thumb to make sure that the ribbon stays in place. And then once I get to the end, I'm going to use a pair of scissors, fabric scissors. Don't try to use your clippers. A nice sharp pair of fabric scissors. And to finish it, I'm just going to fold this end in on itself, kind of line it up with the top of the ribbon. And then I'm going to use a straight pin. This is a pearl pin. This is a 1-inch pearl pin. And I'm going to put one pin at the top, and I'm going to put it down at an angle. I'm not going to stick it straight across because there is some risk that it might come out the back. I'm going to put it down at an angle, and then I'm going to put a second one closer to the bottom of that ribbon at an angle. And I want to make sure that there's no tails sticking out. So now I've got my pearl pins in. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim these stems so that they're nice and even. And you can always set it down on a table and see if that feels even or if you need to make some more adjustments. I like to have my stems be about 1.5 inches to 2 inches below the ribbon so that I have some stems showing, but where my hand is really covered by the ribbon. So that's how you finish it off with a ribbon wrap. If ribbon is not the type of finish you want for your bouquet, maybe you want something a little more rustic or a little more casual, twine or jute is another great option. This is a really easy option to finish off your bouquet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start just like I did with my tape and my ribbon. I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to twist my bouquet as I am using my thumb to place the twine. And you want to make sure that every turn is nice and tight so that there's really no gaps between each piece of this twine. So I'm just turning, turning, turning. Takes a little longer to do the twine than it does to do the ribbon, because you really do have to make sure that there are no lumps and that you're not doubling over on the twine itself. Make sure you're covering up all of your tape. So now that I'm here at the top, I'm just going to cut off my twine. And I'm going to use one pearl pin to stick right in at the top through the twine to hold it in place. And then when I have this little tail, I'm going to wrap it around that pearl pin once or twice and then really give that pearl pin a squeeze so it stays in there. You can either leave that tail if you like how that looks, or you can trim it and just have a little tail there at the end. So that is a twine wrap. You would do the same thing if you were using bind wire, which is a paper covered wire. It works just the same way. You can use that too. The last piece of finishing off a hand-tied bouquet that I want to show you today is in case you want to have some flowing ribbon tails on your bouquet. A lot of people do like to finish it off that way. You can take some sort of, I like to use a little bit of a lighter weight than a satin, something sheer with a little bit of a lighter weight, a little more whimsical. Cut a piece off. And you can use as many pieces for tails as you want. What I'm going to do is just leave them nice and long. You can tie them, just, tie it in a bow. That's a real easy way, and especially if you're using something lightweight, like this real sheer ribbon, just tying it in a bow is a great option. And let those loops and those tails hang down. You're going to want to finish off the edges, just make sure they're not frayed. Cut them at an angle. So that's one way you can do it, just tie it in a bow. The other way you can do it is if you don't want to tie it, you can take your ribbon and just fold it over on itself, and then take a pearl pin, and you're just going to pin this into the top of the bouquet. So right here at the top, I'm going to stick a pearl pin in here. I'm going to put a second one here at the edge. That way, if you're holding onto the bouquet, you'll have these nice long tails. And you can do this, you can do multiple pieces of ribbon, multiple colors, but that's a fun, flowy way to finish off a hand-tied bouquet.